Like one of my previous videos, this is also a second take. The first time I had to do a second take because the batteries died on me. This time it's because I forgot to delete the last two videos I made and my memory card was full, because my memory card only has 20 minutes on it. So yes, I'm doing lots of videos today because I have a lot of free time today. I didn't have any free time the past week or two, and I won't have free time again until maybe Saturday, but probably not. I'd probably have to wait till like next Wednesday maybe. It would be a while before I had free time again. So I'm making all my videos now, today. And I did a lot of work in the past couple weeks, so I feel like I can use lots of time today on this, and then hopefully I'll be able to get some homework in before I go to sleep. The topic of this video is Albert Metlzer's arguments for and against anarchism. Now, of course, given the re-emergence of individualist anarchy under Austrian economic flags of anarcho-capitalism, I have to tell you what type of anarchism this is. And this is anarcho-communism, anarcho-syndicalism, anarcho-socialism, whatever you want to call it. So yes, so I'm going to start off with something I disagree with Albert Metlzer, and it's my, of course it comes from my Rothbardian anarcho-capitalist leanings. And that's over the issue of money. I think that Albert Metlzer contradicts himself. What he says is, he says, hey, look, you know, some people say that there's these things that government does, and if government doesn't do them, it won't happen. So government protects territories. So if government didn't protect territories, your territories would be defenseless and stuff like that. Or if government didn't provide this or that or this or that, it would not be provided and wouldn't exist. And he says that's BS, and anarchism, it could still happen through voluntary associations and whatnot. But then, on the very next page, he says, well, government provides currency, therefore, if government didn't provide currency, there'd be no currencies. Which I've read Rothbard's What Has Government Done With Our Money, and I agree with it. Which is basically that money can form an anarchy, or pockets of anarchy, or outside of the state, whatever you want to use, and that often that this outside the state currency is nationalized by the state, and then the state outlaws currencies of this nature. I mean, an example of modern day money that is formed in pocket of anarchy, and I have to use the word pocket because this happens in prisons. It's a pocket of anarchism in prisons, because you can never kill anarchism. There's always a certain amount of anarchism in every society. It's just a matter of how much or how little. And when I say anarchism in this case, I mean freedom from the state, liberty, and stuff like that, or freedom from control from individuals or groups or the state. And that's what I mean by anarchism. But yeah, the pocket of anarchism in prisons is cigarettes. Cigarettes have formed as a money, as a currency. This is because currencies are simply whatever item in the market is sought after solely for its trade value, or almost entirely for its trade value, rather than its use value. So cigarettes become a form of currency. It's just that when you have bigger economies, you need to go beyond barter, and this is where notes come from. Whenever you have an item wanted solely for its use value, I mean trade value, you can offer notes, and these notes say that they're redeemable in this particular item, and you can have anarcho-type monies. Also, there's some individualist anarchists in this book that I'm going to do a video about. I might have to do several videos because this book is like 300 some odd. Well, it's not 300 pages. I think it was like 297. Yeah, 293. So, but yeah, they had different ideas about money in there too, about how they would have money based on the labor theory of value, and it would just be a different type of money. It wouldn't be like status currency. It'd be a non-mutualist type of currency. And I think he mentioned that, and as an alternative, I still think that counts as money. Basically, how it works is this particular type of currency, which he probably hates me calling it that, basically says that they're redeemable in services and labor of some kind, or they're redeemable for corn, which if they're redeemable in corn, that's still commodity money. That's still kind of anarcho money I'm talking about. So I don't know. maybe if he says, when he says money, if he only means statist money and all other forms of money he's okay with, then we're in agreement. But if he says all forms of money, all forms of currency are bad, and his example is because without the state, statist currencies would die, then we're in total disagreement. Okay, this video might be too long. Sorry about that, but there's a lot for a book that's this tiny. There's a lot of stuff in here that's pretty interesting. The next is on the Vanguard, and this is the conflict between anarchists and communists, especially the Marxist, Leninist, Maoist types. How to lead the working class. Now, in this case, it's just weird. I'm more with the Marxist Leninists because I actually see the point of vanguards. So Metzler doesn't like vanguards because vanguards are they're outside of the working class, and it's dangerous. They're not a part of the working class. There's something over the working class, and I think he's rightly fairly worried that they'll become totalitarian states, especially if they're led by Marxist-Leninist views. And I agree with that, but I think in certain circumstances, in certain situations, vanguards are very important and useful because the working class doesn't have the time, the interest, and the passion sometimes. Like, some of them do. Like, that can't be denied. But the vast majority of people don't have the time and interest and passion to study philosophy and economics and politics and ideology and party lines and all that. So you need a vanguard, and the vanguard are the elite of the movement. And see, that's the thing. That's one thing that makes me more of an anarcho-capitalist than a anarcho-socialist. Is I still believe in a certain amount of hierarchies. That some people are way better at certain things than other people. Some people are a bit more elite when it comes overall than others and whatnot. It's a matter of how much they've self-actualized. So I think you need vanguards can be important sometimes to leading movements because vanguards are the elite. They know what's going on. They're like the generals of the thing. So I'm okay with certain types of, hierarchies, so long as it's a hierarchy in which people's individuality is okay and not destroyed and that aren't coercive. But yeah, now here's a point that we agree on. And I really like this point that Metzler makes. And I will probably use this argument in the future, and it's awesome. I really like it. And it's basically a point I mentioned earlier, except for like really well done. He talks about this example of religions. What used to happen in the Dark Ages is that countries would be excommunicated from the church, and then they couldn't be able to do anything. Like, no one could marry anyone because the church wasn't there to say your marriage is legitimate. No one could pass property down to the children because the children were considered to be illegitimate children. No one could do any legal stuff because the church wasn't there to okay it. It's about how ridiculous this is, that people think that you need the church to be able to do anything. And without the church, it's just total collapse of civilization. And he talks about how now we think that's silly. Now we understand that you don't need the church for marriages to be okay, or to pass down property, or to take oaths. Like they thought that if your country is excommunicated, you couldn't even take an oath because the church wasn't there to okay the oath and stuff like that. Like the whole society collapsed. But now we understand that we don't need the church in control of all society for society to exist and be orderly. And he says that's kind of the same with the state. That we believe that we need the state to do everything for society to exist, but society can still exist in an orderly manner without the state. It just, I think it would. He doesn't really mention it well, but in my opinion, you need it to where a lot of people have to already be anarchists for it to work, like a huge chunk. And that's why my more practical anarcho-capitalist type views come in, where I think you need a vanguard first. If you try to bring in anarchism without the vanguard, with the leading the way, of knowing what to do, then it's going to be Somali or something. You need a group that sets it up. And I think that once anarchism has successfully set it up, it'll run itself. Where you don't need ideological types anymore. It'll just sort of run itself. But you need to start off. But yeah. He's also against transitional states too. Like the communists believe that you should get to the dictatorship of the proletariat and anarchism. And he says, and I agree, The problem with this is that anarchism will never come if there's this transition stage, because you'll stay in the transition stage forever. And of course, my view of the vanguard of anarcho-capitalism isn't a transition stage, because it goes straight to anarcho-capitalism. It's just at first it's led by people who know what's going on. They get it started, and the second it starts, the vanguard isn't really even. It's a part of the things, but it doesn't rule over everything like the dictatorship, the proletariat. Let's see, on the next, trade unions. He's against trade unions, which is, you think is weird. He's an anarcho-communist, anarcho-syndicalist type, you know, industrial worker. I don't know if he's an industrial workers of the world wobblies type, but he might very well be. It wouldn't surprise me. He's against trade unions. He says trade unions help the system stay together, and they ultimately help the system. They divide the working class between the employed and unemployed, between this country's workers and all the other countries' workers. So it divides workers unjustly, because the workers should be united. And yeah, they're statists. Trade unionists are state socialists, and he doesn't like that. They're not anarchists. So he thinks that anarcho-syndicalism is a very different thing than trade unionism. They're, in fact, even though they're both on the left, to him, he says that anarcho-syndicalism and trade unionism are opposed, that they're too different to, you know, be on the same side for very long. Let's see, there's a very interesting quote in here by Bakunin. I'm just going to say it and let you draw your own conclusions. Liberty without socialism is exploitation. Socialism without liberty is tyranny. It's interesting. I'm going to leave that one open. Just comment down below about what you think about that quote. Oh yes, another thing he was against was communist historical materialism, which is to say that it's sort of a Hegelian type idea that society is going to move towards communism, and then once society's there, communism's good and we'll have it there. He says that anarchism is a good idea now, it'll be a good idea in the future, and it was a good idea in the past, and that there is no evolution into anarchism. It's always, there's no materialism. You should just try to bring it about as soon as possible, not rely on the geist of society, the zeitgeist. Alright, this video is pretty long, and if you're still here, kudos to you. You get a golf clap. Yes, golf clap for you. Good. Proudhon now. Just because this issue that's brought up a lot, and I think it's important to clear things up. Yeah, I say important weird. I don't know why. I'm from Kansas, my mom's from Missouri, but I say important, cool. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it's YouTube where it makes me say important and cute, all non-Kansan-y. But anyway, yes, Proudhon says that property is theft, and property is liberty. That's the thing. The mistake people make is they say, oh, Karl Marx said property is theft. No, he didn't. Proudhon said property is theft. And then they say, oh, then he's against all property, and like if I own this cell phone and I have it in my hand, you can just come and take it. And because property is theft, and if I were to try and stop you from taking it, I would be like thieving from you, even though you're the one taking from my cell phone. It doesn't work like that. That's not what Proudhon's saying. I mean, if it was, why he wouldn't say also that property is liberty. I haven't read lots of Proudhon, so can correct me if I'm wrong here, but from what I gather is that his quote property is theft is more of types of property, or types of things which are called property or theft, beyond the normal notion of just taking stuff and that being theft. I think his notion's more of like, or his worry is more about how like the rich oligarchs are rich oligarchs because of the state, and how like rich oligarch types will have all these mansions and use like none of them, or just one or two of them, and then have mansions all over being unused, and he thinks this is bullshit. And something about like that, or like how the rich have their property because the state helped them out, or like the state took the property, sold it to them, or the state invaded a place, killed everybody, took it over, and now the rich come and take that land, like in America, like what happened in America and colonized areas. He thinks that's BS. That's bad. So in those instances, in what conservatives would call crony capitalistic situations, property is theft. But he also says that property is liberty, which to me says that, like, it seems to be more of that, that libertarian socialist idea of property versus possession. So in this case, it'd be like property is liberty. It'd be more of like what I use all the time, what I have with me, like this phone here, which is broken. Anyway, like if I have this here, property is liberty for me because this is my phone and it's mine to use. And I'm not exploiting anyone by having this phone, and it'd be fucked up for you to just come and take my phone and just run off with it. So I think that's his point, that some forms of property are theft beyond our general conventional common sense notions of theft, and that property is liberty, in which case possession and continual use of property is your form of liberty, because that's your stuff. In that case, in that potential, in that area, it is liberty. So yeah, that's my kind of take on the whole property is theft, property is liberty thing with Proudhon. And with that, I end the video, and you deserve another golf clap if you've made it this far.